I've been a flip-flopper with this series throughout. I after the Clippers blew out the Nuggets early in the series, I think I said to you, I regret not picking the Clippers sooner because MPJ's out. Looks like the Nuggets are falling apart. Kawhi looks amazing, this and that. And then the Nuggets swing it the other way. And Murray looks like he's back. And MPJ looks restored. And Aaron Gordon has an amazing moment with the putback dunk and he'll win the game and everything. And here we are. We're at game 7, just like basically everybody thought we would be entering the series, even though we got here in this weird, long and winding road. But here we are. And the number one thing on my mind entering this game 7 is Jokic's struggles down the stretch of this series, because in that game 6, in the second half, 5 points in the second half for Jokic on 2 of 9 shooting. And for the entire series in the fourth quarter, he's averaging only 3.8 points per game on 36.4% from the field, only 20% from 3. This is abnormal for Jokic. And we saw in that game 5, they can win games with Jokic not having big nights. Jamal Murray can go off. Other guys can have good games. But something does seem off with Jokic in this series, Tom, and I do worry about that for Denver. But maybe the former multi-time MVP, former Finals MVP shows up and shows why he's an all-timer in this Game 7. But that is the number one thing on my mind with what's up with Jokic in these endgame situations.
Yeah, did you hear what he said after the game about Nic Batum? He was like, man, Nic Batum, that guy, much better shooter than Chris Dunn. The Ty Lue makes that switch.
He straight up said that. Mm-hmm. Better than Chris Dunn. And he's right. Like, it took until game 6, but Ty Lue finally did it. 10 minutes. Chris Dunn, you're awesome on defense, but you're hurting our offense. Time for Batum.
And I'm wondering, like, Jokic, what he said after the game, Kev, like, is Ty Lue now going to be like, all right, Nic Batum, let's go. Like, this is how it's going to be. He guarded Jokic very well in this game. And Zoo is, I think, I've said it here last week, I think Zoo is the best Jokic defender in the league. And you're seeing when they switch up a little bit with Harden, and then in game 6 with Nic Batum, he was awesome. I feel like we need like an appreciation day for Nic Batum and his like kind of second act in his NBA career. The work that he did in Paris and the Netflix documentary that showed just how vocal this dude and how passionate he is about winning basketball games and for his home country in France. But also just at this age, what Nic Batum is doing, we talk a lot about Chris Paul, and he played 82 games this year, and Steph Curry and LeBron, but we need to give some love to Nic Batum and what he's doing at this stage of his career. Amazing defensive plays, a much better threat from downtown offensively than Chris Dunn, and that opens up a lot of things, a lot of avenues for Norm Powell to go at the cup and James Harden. I don't think it's a coincidence that we saw the Norm Powell game in a game in which Nic Batum was out on the floor, because he is just a much better option offensively and gives you a lot more weapons offensively. And you said Nic Batum MVP. I missed this post from you, but dude, what an awesome final act for Nic Batum. Like, we need to give this dude his flowers.
I mean, I forget who said it on the broadcast, but like, he went from defending Jokic to defending Murray, and he's banging down threes. He's making connective passes. Batum's been an awesome. He's had so many different stages of his career. Earlier in his career with Charlotte, more of a scorer type, but then he became this elite role player. And the fact he's still doing it at this point, at this age, at 36, and I think what was his first time all season playing over 30 minutes in a game as well? It's crazy, Tom. But I mean, he's integral to the series. His rising role in this series is part of the reason why the Clippers have been able to push this to a 7 and why it didn't end early, because it wasn't working with Dunn. Dunn is awesome defensively. He brings great intangibles, but the way in which the Nuggets were giving him, the Russell Westbrook treatment, sagging off of him, Dunn wasn't making them pay in ways that Russ has in spots this series. And so Lue, it took him a little bit to get there, but made the right decision. And as you said, Batum, it's not just the scoring, it's also the defense on Jokic. He's another guy who plays him hard, and I think that's part of it with Joker right now. Zubac does a great job. Batum does a good job. They're throwing occasional doubles earlier in the series when it was Simmons, or when it's Harden occasionally. They're throwing 2 at Jokic. It feels like they're mixing up so many different coverages against Joker. And I also do wonder if fatigue's a factor too. He doesn't look quite right to me in a lot of these situations. And also, I'm not going to critique, me in my armchair, critique one of the greatest offensive players ever, Tom, but he passed on some jumpers. It's like you've become a 45% guy from three. Take that shot more. Tap into your inner Steph instead of driving into some of these heavily contested shots in the lane, especially late in the game. He passed on some jumpers I thought he should have taken.
Yeah, and look, like, you're getting great Russell Westbrook games here and there. You got to win those games. If you're getting like good Russell Westbrook games, you got to get the victory, because they're not going to come around very often when he's at this stage of his career, right? And Jokic has to have a higher usage rate. He has to have like a 40-point game here. And I know I feel like I'm talking like Shaq and when he talks about Dwight Howard, but it's true. Like Jokic with this roster and Michael Porter Jr. is giving him nothing. Like his shoulder issues, he's got like that Kobe Bryant rap on him, like in the game, where it looks like, man, what is he dealing with right now?
He gave him something in games 4 and 3. Like, so he had like a moment where I was like, oh, wait a minute, is he okay? And then he looked like nothing again in game 6.
The guy is one of the great off-ball cutters in the league. He's one of the top wing cut guys in the league. If you look at the numbers, you watch his synergy and you're like, he's not just a 3-point shooter. Like, this guy is a adept cutter off the ball where he's able to leverage his height and his ability to play off of Jokic, but he's not doing that in this series. And I think part of it is because he's afraid of contact. He's afraid of having to finish at the rim, and he's just not a threat anymore off the ball if he's not at the perimeter. And so that's a big reason why I think Jokic has to have like 25 shots in game 7 and have one of these all-time performances, because otherwise either leaning on a banged up Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray, it's just going to take one of these amazing all-time performances from Jokic, because I just think that they don't have the bodies right now. And James Harden, he tires down the stretch. Typically, as the series progresses, his effectiveness goes way down, and he's older, obviously, than he's ever been before. So I think Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Nikola Jokic, we're going to see this kind of championship medal that we've seen from Kawhi Leonard and Nikola Jokic. Which one is going to come up bigger? Because I don't think you're going to get it from James Harden. I think it's going to come down to Jokic and Kawhi, who both have Finals MVPs under their belt.
Tom, do we know which day game 1's going to be for next round with OKC? Monday or Tuesday?
Not sure on that.
Yeah, I don't think that's been. I don't think that's out quite yet. But either way, that's tough for Denver or LA with OKC having over a week off, like you can get enough prep for both of these teams and rest. Maybe it's too much rest. That's the only thing.
Like, there is a point. Statistically, there is a point where there's like it's too much rest, and I just don't think,
especially
OKC,
after the first round with blowouts almost every game, except for one of them. Maybe too much rest. Yeah. That's the only counter argument there. Couple weeks
did
off,
they go
really.
to Cancun? I don't think they're going to Cancun. This OKC team seems like they just went to OKC and played video games, right? Like that's what they did.
Yeah, but either way, like after this hell of a series between the Nuggets and Clippers, then you have to face the Thunder on limited rest. That's really tough.